So the next theme I'm going to talk about today is fate and free will. Now, fate is what is going to happen to you, good or bad. It's always used in a bad connotation, but it could be both. Fate or your destiny. And then, of course, there is free will, which is you can do what you want, but there are, of course, consequences to your actions. And, of course, with God directing things, sometimes there are things that He wants to have happen to you that they're just going to happen. Or things that He wants to have happen and you don't want to be used, so you're in your free will, you do something different, but He can use somebody else to do it. In Tolkien's works, you see this. You have God, essentially, in the story. If you read the Silmarillion, Eru Ilúvatar, which is God, and He has, He created the whole world, He took the music of the Ainur and He made it, gave it being. And He knows everything that's going to happen. The Valar knows some of it, but He didn't reveal all of it. So the Valar do jump in and do things, but Eru Ilúvatar's plan is the ultimate plan. Whatever they want to do, he can always go and change it and do something else. Or use what they're doing to help what he is doing, whatever his plan is. And you do see examples in the works, like in Lord of the Rings especially. Bilbo and Frodo are a great example of this. Yes, they do have free will. They can do what they wish. But the fate of the ring is it's going to be destroyed. That's already been ordained by Ilúvatar. It's going to happen. And so Gandalf, he tells Frodo, Bilbo was meant to find the ring, and Frodo was meant to have it. It was not Sauron's will. Well, whose will was it? Well, it was not the Valar. It was clearly Eru Ilúvatar. Providence, whatever you want to call it. It was his will that this would happen. Now, Bilbo could have rejected the dwarves and said, I'm not going on this quest with you. But he ended up going. And so, gets Gollum's cave, finds the ring, takes it, eventually he returns home, and then hands it over at the beginning of Lord of the Rings to Frodo. And then Frodo's task is to take it to Rivendell, and there its fate will be decided. The Council of Elrond comes together. And now, Elrond doesn't summon them, he says. Someone else did. But who? Well, it's Eru Ilúvatar. It is his will that this happens. Frodo takes it upon himself to take the ring to Mordor, to throw it into the fire. And you have the whole fellowship is built around them. They eventually split. Him and Sam go off to Mordor alone, but of course Gollum's following them. And yes, Frodo fails in the end, but he's got Sam and Gollum there. Without Sam, Frodo never would have made it to Mount Doom. Without Gollum, it would never have been destroyed. So Bilbo, or Frodo I should say, it wasn't his fate to take the ring. Or maybe it was, to destroy it. But then, of his own free will, he rejects it, tries to take the ring for himself. Gollum comes in, they wrestle, Gollum gets the ring back, falls into the chasm, dies, the ring's destroyed, Middle-earth is saved. Now we do see examples in the story that, the Valar do have a part in it. They do send the eagle that goes and says, oh hey, and he sings a song saying, Minas Tirith, the king is coming back, the ring's destroyed. We do see them. We don't see them, but we do see when Sauron is defeated, his shadow creeping over the armies of the west, and a great wind comes and blows him away. Well, that wind came from the west. It's made very clear that's where it came from. Well, who's in the west? The Valar. In Numenor, it was the fate of the Numenorians the kings to give up their life. Because men are doomed to die. That's just part of our nature. That's how Iluvatar created them. And the Numenoid kings were given a longer lifespan than men, but they still had to die. And they freely, of their own free will, gave up their life, handed over the kingship to their son or daughter, and then eventually passed to go to a fate beyond the world. What that is, men don't know. Even the Valar don't know. Their man's fate is different from the elves. The elves' fate is to live in the world so long as it lasts. And then, of course, you have, I think the greatest example of fate is in the Children of Húrin. He is to sit there and basically watch Morgoth destroy his family. And Turin does make his own decisions. He has free will to do that, and he does. And he thinks at the end that he mastered his fate. Well, no, your fate is your fate. You can't escape it. His fate was to die, because that's what Morgoth wanted. He wanted to destroy Húrin's entire family, and he did it. Turin and his sister Nienor die. Morwen, Húrin's wife, dies. It is their fate. But it's also their fate to go where all men go, as I said, to a fate beyond the world. And so you have this, even in our real life, this idea of fate and free will. We are fated to live and to die. But that is not the end. Now, we have free will in our lives to do what we want, but there's always bad consequences. We even see that in Tolkien's writings, where a character uses their free will to do whatever they want, and the consequences are bad. But sometimes it is good. Whatever we meant for bad, sometimes God can use that for good. And you see that also in Tolkien's writings. And so, yeah, there's the whole idea of fate and free will. There's probably way more examples. That in the books. It's been a while since I read them, but I do constantly look through them whenever I have an idea or whatever. It is my favorite thing in the world. I've always been enthralled by these stories and by everything that Tolkien wrote. Now, these themes, I'm mostly talking about what's in his Middle-earth writings, but even in his other writings, you see some of these themes, including the one I'm going to do in the next video about preservation. So, if you like this video, please like and subscribe to the channel. And I will continue to bring this to you, especially to those who don't know Tolkien, who are not fans, who want to be, or who are just getting into the books and want to know more. That's why I started this channel, and I hope to continue to bring this content to you. And so, that's the end for this video. Until next time, have a good day, and I will talk to you all later.